No worries, don't worry about it. First story of the day I want to talk about is Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau, and the fall of Democrat men. First off, I want to say a lot of people misdiagnose what I'm really interested in when it comes to politics. I'm not really interested in politics, to be honest. I don't like the news. That's why I do my own news. I'm not a fan of like the whole arena, but I am very interested in its effect on the world, and I'm also interested in the psychology, the philosophy, and the spirituality behind politics, because a lot of policy doesn't work if the philosophy and the psychology behind it doesn't make sense. Like if you want to, give you an example, if you want to tax the rich, it's very noble, it's very generous, you want to take the money from them and give it to the government and hopefully give it to other people. It's a great idea. I understand where people, but if you really understand the philosophy and the psychology behind taxing the rich, you'd understand, one, they don't have to stay in your state. So 50% of your state gets its income tax from the wealthy, and then the wealthy leave states, you lose all that. Chris Cuomo understands that. He's freaking out a little bit because they got the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of policies sound good, but if you don't understand how they work, companies don't have to stay there. Rich people don't have to live there. Nobody has to give it to you. So that's what I'm interested in, and nothing has been more ridiculous to watch than the psychology and the philosophy behind identity politics, mainly on the left wing, but it's also on the right wing, of race, religion, gender, this weird hierarchy structure that they've created where if you're a white male, they hate on you, discriminate against you. If you're a person who disagrees with their politics, they don't treat you much better. And then if you're a woman and the guy's a man, doesn't matter what the race is now because the woman, it's very, very strange. And today I'm going to specifically focus on Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau, and how Democrat men are getting all the karma, unfortunately, they deserve. And I'm not somebody who likes to prey on someone's downfall, but this is just the psychological and philosophical truth behind what the left has become, which is why I really don't understand why people don't see it, but maybe they're going to have to learn the hard way. So let's start with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's in the news now because I guess like multiple women have accused him, like 2 or 4 women. And, I'm not someone I'm going to be very fair. I don't believe accusations just because someone made them. I already know women who have lied about me. I know women who have lied about other people. There's a lot of women and a lot of men who live their life off of spite and revenge, whether it be because you don't want to date them or, they have problems with themselves. Point being is, women are great, men are great, but I don't believe all women. I don't believe all men. There's millions of women and men who will lie for personal, financial reasons. It's a ridiculous notion that all women should be believed. So I feel that even with Joe Biden. But just the sheer humor and, audacity that the Democrats had, that they think that they could throw everyone else under the bus, believe all women, push all these radical movements, and then think that for some reason Joe Biden is going to be able to be their leader is just laughable. Because, I don't know his history. I'm honestly going to be more kind of respectful to Joe Biden here than anyone else because I'm not going to hate on the guy. But there's video footage and picture footage of him like touching, children in a very weird way on C-SPAN and just like wide open in the public. And I'm gonna be as fair as I could be. Maybe he's like got the creepy uncle vibe where he's just too touchy with everybody. Maybe he's like a French or European person where he's always kissing people on the cheek. That's culture, and other people's culture is to like be overly touchy with people. So if I could be as fair as possible, even giving him the benefit of the doubt of that, many people think that it should be looked into further. A lot of conservatives think, it's very alarming. And other people think it's alarming too, even left-leaning people. I know a lot of people who think Joe Biden's creepy just off the video footage. And these accusations, some people think they're credible, some people think they're not. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not a politician. I'm not a judge. I'm not a cop. So it's not really up to me to figure this stuff out. But what I'm going to say is just the laughability of the fact that they're Me Tooing everybody under the sun, and they think their leader is going to be a white male person who's overly touchy, to say the least, is ridiculous. Like, how did they not know? And I'm not saying he's a white male in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying that the left-leaning hierarchy, they're discriminatory, and they give bonus victim points to certain people based on race or ethnicity. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that's the truth. And the downfall is just going to be obvious. If you're a male, if you're a man on the Democratic side, I don't care about your gender. I think the content of your argument should bleed, based on your truth, your authenticity, your, intelligence. But that's not what you've built. Joe Biden, that's not what you've built. Bernie Sanders, that's not what you're building. Justin Trudeau, or Trudeau, however you say it. I'm going to get into that in a second. You've built your own downfall. You've dug your own grave. You've created a structure that is the antithesis of what Martin Luther King wanted. He wanted content of character, equality, and freedom, and you're building your own chains of non-freedom, the opposite of freedom. You want to confiscate things from people in multiple countries. You want to take away people's right to speak freely on college campuses or anywhere. You're taking away freedom. You're doing the opposite. You're not really liberal, honestly. It's becoming radical. You don't want freedom. You want to disarm your own people. You want to racially put laws in where it's like if you're Asian or white, they'll discriminate against you. And if you're black or Hispanic or whatever, I don't even know, that they'll give you special things at certain times. And it's even come to the right wing. I'm not going to lie. Even right wing, just to exist, they have to play identity politics just to get their point across, because everybody's so afraid of, just being yourself. So it's like even the right has to play identity, and Trump plays identity politics just as a shield of like, leave me alone. It's gotten really bad, and it makes no sense. And then it's like the double standards of, if you're Asian and you're prideful, that's amazing. If you're black and you're prideful, that's amazing. If you're white and you're prideful, you're a white supremacist, you're horrible, and you must be a terrible person. It doesn't make sense to me. Me personally, I'm not that big into race. It's never played like a huge role in my life. And if it does in your life, it's not up to me. That's fine. I think Louis Farrakhan should be able to say what he wants. I think white people should be able to say what they want. You do what you got to do as long as you don't hurt anyone else. It doesn't really bother me, but the hypocrisy behind it bothers me a little bit, because it's like certain people can do whatever they want. They have no self-accountability, no self-responsibility. If you're a Democrat, you can pretty much do whatever. I mean, with Joe Biden, to stay on topic, he's a Democrat. You have people like Alyssa Milano and others who said, believe all women. When it came to Kavanaugh, the accusations were suspect to say the least. I mean, the guy had calendars. No witnesses knew what she was talking about. It's like her case was awful. But Alyssa Milano and others said, believe all women, we believe all women, we believe all women. But then when it comes to Joe Biden, all of a sudden those same people are saying, no. They thought we love Joe Biden. We don't believe these women. It's just like there's no substance on the left anymore. It's all identity politics. Unless it goes against you, it's all about race, religion, and gender. Unless it goes against you, then it doesn't matter. It's all about feminism unless it goes against your... It's such a lie. It's such a laughable lie. And I don't feel bad at all, really, for these people who've dug their own graves and built their own collapsing structure. Let's move on to Justin Trudeau. His whole life, he's been pandering to feminists. He's so bent over, he might as well be doing a handstand at this point, Justin Trudeau. It's like when you bend over that much, you're pretty much just doing a teapot standing on your head in the triangle position. He's literally sold his soul to identity politics. He's pandered for everybody under the sun besides his own taxpayer citizens. It's like he'll wear a hijab and dance around in an Indian costume. I mean, I don't know if he really wore a hijab. That was a joke, but you get what I'm saying. It's like this dude will do anything for anyone else to be like, I'm the best person ever. And he still gets thrown under the bus this week because he's still a man. Justin Trudeau, you've built your own grave. That you're never going to win this game because it's not based on content of character. It's not based on compassion. It's not based on kindness. It's not based on intelligence. It's not based on psychology. It's not based on philosophy. It's not based on spirituality. It's not rooted in reality. It's a racist, sexist structure which only cares about skin color, gender, and political policy. And if it goes against a political policy, then it doesn't matter. Nothing about it makes sense. So what happened to Trudeau this week is, or however you say his name, I don't really care. He was kicked out. He kicked 2 women out of his liberal caucus because apparently he didn't trust them, which is totally fine. I mean, Trudeau, Trump, whoever, you're allowed to hire and fire people. That's your responsibility. If you don't trust them, you're allowed to let them go. You know, there's nothing wrong with what Trudeau did, although I think he's a goofball. But now he had dozens of women in the caucus or whatever. They all turned their backs and did some sort of weird protest about him. Atlantic's writing articles about him now, saying that he's not a real feminist and that his feminist agenda is crumbling, and everything's crumbling around. I mean, it's so bad in Canada. I'm not saying it's bad, but a right-wing conservative is absolutely going to win this next election. Ontario, the Liberal caucus or the Liberal Party lost so bad. They lost so many seats. It broke a record of like 151 years. That's how bad So Justin Trudeau tries to do something about it. He fires 2 people, and he gets attacked by women. It's so hilarious to watch the downfall of Democrat and Liberal men. What else do you expect? You can't ever win this game you're playing, because it's not a game you win. You lose 100% of the time. Another hilarious example of this is BuzzFeed and Huffington Post. Let's follow what they do. So they hire a bunch of, polygender, unanimous, gender-nanimous, like black, Hispanic, whatever the flavor of the day is. They hire all these people not based, I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, not really based on how great of writers they are and how intelligent they are, but mostly based on maybe their arts degree and, they have a journalism degree, and they'll fit the liberal agenda. They're not hiring, black conservatives or Hispanic conservatives. They're hiring liberals. So they hire all these people based on their sexuality and their, amazing writing of how Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is so racist, and they're, it's like these guys have way too much time on their hands. So then they hire these people based on their skin color, their ethnicity, and their political affiliation. Then they actually don't do well because nobody's reading their articles, and they're not really making compelling or intelligent journalism. So the company suffers. So they give these people a handout. They suffer the consequences of giving people handouts that don't deserve handouts. And then they have to make a business decision or a political decision about it. They fire the people that they hired because they're not working out. And then those same people will turn against you and say, you're racist, you're sexist, how dare you fire me? We're starting our own unions. BuzzFeed's a horrible. So it's hilarious. This is, whether you're Bernie Sanders, you're a progressive who says, Anomaly, I love you, you're great, you're one of the only people I listen to that's not progressive, but I don't agree with you on policy. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not even talking about policy. If your policy is not rooted in reality, if you're not understanding the philosophy and the psychology behind your whole party, you're going to lose, and it's just a matter of time before you figure it out. You don't have to agree with me. You could think that universal health care is going to work. You could think that $15 an hour minimum wage is going to work. You could think Bernie Sanders is going to lead you to the promised land. It doesn't bother me because it's going to collapse on you, whether it be in a year, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months. You're building a structure that's set to fail. For Trudeau, he built a structure set to fail. BuzzFeed built a structure set to fail. You're giving people things that they don't deserve. You're giving people things that their whole ideology is based off of sexuality and race and their gender. They don't even understand what gender means scientifically. And then the second that you try to hold them accountable, they're going to try to destroy your life and say that you're sexist, even though you've spent your whole life pandering to that group. It's very, very bittersweet. And I'm just giving you the warning call that none of it's going to work. So on the left wing, my predictions are going to age extremely well. It's going to be an absolute clown fest of, you're white. No, you're a man. Well, you can't say that because you're a woman. But you're a white woman. But you're a black woman. But you're not a Muslim, paraplegic, transgender woman. But it's going to be a victim fest it's going to be the least intelligent debate you've ever seen. And Tulsi Gabbard will probably say a few intelligent things when it comes to like the Syrian war. It's going to be so goofy because that is what you're building. So Joe Biden, I'm not even going to throw you under the bus like a lot of conservatives. I'm not a cop. I'm not a judge. I don't know who you are. I'm not going to judge off of a few videos I've seen and pictures and stories. I'm just going to say you're digging your own grave. You're building a structure that hates your people. Justin Trudeau, you spent your whole life pretending to be a feminist, and your bittersweet solution is going to be feminists are going to tear you down because you're not a woman, and they're not actually standing up for women. They hate men. They're weak. They're very spiteful. They're very angry. And the psychology and philosophy behind it all is a philosophy of tear down the top, and that's somehow going to make me feel better. It's like, let me rob you, and then it's going to make me feel good inside. Let me destroy your happiness. Let me destroy your structure, and it's going to make my structure feel better. God help all Democrat, liberal, and progressive men, whether you agree with me or not policy-wise. You're going to eventually figure out all the stuff I'm saying. And my apolitical people already know it. I know liberal people in the film industry who say, I'm getting Me Too'd and I've never done anything to women. They're destroying good people who've worked really hard to get there. You know, men who've spent decades to get to that position, and we keep hiring 19 and 20-year-olds who have no self-accountability, have no self-responsibility, who think that the whole world is deserving to them. People ask me in an interview, Anomaly, like, you've been very successful this year. I've worked for 10 years. I've not taken vacations. I've been poor for a long time, a decade. That's how much work I've done. A decade of thousands upon thousands of hours. I've worked harder when I was 19 for no money. And I worked from 19 to 26, 27 for no money. I've put in more work than probably most people do in their lives. So it has nothing to do with my gender. It has nothing to do with my race. It has to do with the fact I've put in work. So when you're a liberal in one of these industries and your whole life gets teared down by women and people that you've given positions to and you've went out on a limb to help, I'm not going to feel bad for you. I've warned you for decades now, or not decades, but years now, that your whole thing is based off building up people who aren't deserving. So you're making these kids feel this way, and it's only going to crush you. And everybody's starting to know it. So God help you guys, and God have mercy on your life, and God have mercy on my life, because it's a cold world out here, and it's like crabs in a bucket. Everyone wants to drag you down. Second story of the day is about a really